river weaves throughout its course a glorious history. Relics bear testimony to the successive waves of empires that have found far and across this land. I'm Kuki, and this week I've set out to explore temples and ancient monuments of the state. About 130 kilometers from the state capital of Raipur is the ancient temple of Boramdeo. The temple is dedicated to the tribal deity Boramdeo, who is considered to be an incarnation of Lord Shiva, the destroyer, or more accurately, the transformer. In its structure and carving, the temple is reminiscent of the temples of Khajuraho. This sandstone temple was built in the 11th century AD and is seen as the pinnacle of temple architecture of the state. It is the oldest temple in Chhattisgarh and was built in the pancha-yatna style. You know what is the most amazing thing about this temple? That even after 1,000 years, it is in a remarkable state of preservation. The walls and floor of the shrine are exquisitely carved. While the external wall depicts a lot of activity, inside a sense of calm prevails. I'm tempted to reach out and touch everything I see here. The deities have been sculpted in black stone, a contrast to the ochre stone used for the rest of the temple. The Ardh-mandapa has 16 intricately carved octagonal pillars that rise high to support an impressive ceiling. As I leave the temple, Nandi, the eternal devotee and vehicle of Shiva, stands guard in the temple courtyard. I'm off to discover another of Chhattisgarh's archeological marvels. 100 kilometers away at Dalla, the ancient ruins stand silent and look like clues to a fantastic treasure hunt. This is the site of the Devrani temple. However, it is the 10 feet tall statue of the Rudra Shiva that commands attention. It is fashioned out of the shapes of animals like the crocodile and peacock and has human and lion faces carved on it. My next stop is an ancient center of religion. The excavation of Sirpur began in the mid-1950s. Sirpur in the early centuries of the Christian era was known as Sripura, literally translating to the city of wealth. The whole of Sirpur depicts syncretic traditions dating from the 5th to the 10th century AD, and valuable discoveries of Buddhist, Shaiva, Vaishnava and Jaina architecture have been excavated here. I'm headed to meet a renowned archaeologist to give me a little insight on Sirpur. Professor A.K. Sharma is credited with the excavation of 9 historic sites, including the Buddh Vihar and Shaiva temples. He is the foremost expert on Sirpur's history.
I have been excavating at Sirpur since last 11 years. We've got so many culture deposits like the pre-Mauryan, then the Mauryan, then the Sunga period, then the Satvahanas, Sarabhapurias, Panduvansis and lastly the Kalchuris.
Today the excavations tell us that this area always enjoyed much importance through the ages.
During 7th, 6th century, Sirpur assumed the importance of a capital from the trading center, international trading center, which has got the trade relations with the Arabian countries in the West and Southeast Asian countries like Java, Sumatra, Malaya, Japan, China.
The famous Chinese traveler Huang Sang is said to have visited the area in 639 AD. His writings describe Sirpur as a center of religious learning and more.
Huyen Sang describes that since all the religions were living together, it has a true Indian secularism. Though the king was a Chhatri, but he was equally donating to all the monuments, all the Buddha viharas, Jain viharas, same amount of villages and money for their upkeep. We have got the inscriptions, we have got the copper plates in which it is clearly mentioned that Mahashivgupta Balarjuna or Mahashivgupta Tiwardev, they donated to a Buddha vihara. They themselves constructed the Buddha vihara, though they were Hindus. So there was nothing, no difference. This is one of the greatest contribution of Sirpur.
Walking up the steps of the Surang Tila, one among Sirpur's excavations, I feel incredibly proud of the kind of architectural and cultural history Chhattisgarh offers the country. The Surang Tila temple is set on a platform that is several meters off the ground and looks kind of like an ancient Mayan temple. The large courtyard or the mandap has 32 intricately carved pillars, of which no two are alike, and the temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva. The Lakshman temple in Sirpur, dating back to the 7th century, is considered unique in brick architecture in India. At the very first glance, one can't help but wonder how a brick structure of this size has survived through centuries. Though originally dedicated to Vishnu, as indicated in the epigraphic records, the temple later came to be known as the Lakshman temple. Around 1400 years old, the temple has stone sculptures housed inside a brick edifice. This is an oddity as most ancient temples in India are made of stone with stone carvings. A kilometer from the Lakshman temple is the Tivardev Buddha Vihar, the largest Buddhist vihar excavated in Sirpur. The Tivardev Buddha Vihar is arguably the most beautiful of all the vihars so far unearthed in Sirpur. Named after King Tivardev, it is the largest and the most ornate of all the vihars. Stories of various jataks and the Panchatantra are etched on this door jamb. Some archaeologists contend that the door jamb of this temple is one of the most beautiful in all of Chhattisgarh. Inscriptions indicate that the vihar was created during the rule of Mahashivgupta Balarjuna and was named after his grandfather. The size and expanse of the vihar suggests that it was occupied by a large number of monks. In the Sanctum Sanctorum is an impressive statue of Buddha in the Bhumi Sparsh Mudra. The Buddha Vihars of Sirpur have received a lot of attention from luminaries like the Dalai Lama.
Seeing these things, how much richness about ancient Indian culture. So I really feel very happy. I always consider student of Nagarjuna. So here, as soon as I heard one cave where Nagarjuna spent 6 months monsoon retreat. So as soon as I heard that, I developed determination. I must come here.
The excavation sites in Sirpur are fascinating and awe-inspiring. With a little bit of imagination, you can relive the times and ways of the ancient people of this land. Visiting Sirpur is the best lesson in history to have. On the road once again, I'm headed to Mainpat to visit the famous Dakpo monastery. Mainpat, locally known as Mini Tibet, has been home to over 3,000 Buddhists for over 5 decades. Quite evidently, peace and prayer are a way of life here. temple of goddess Bambleshwari, located at a height of around 500 meters atop a hill, is the prime attraction here. Reached by climbing over 1,000 steps, it is believed by the locals to be around 2,200 years old. Well, there is an easier way to reach the top, and that is by taking the ropeway, which is just what I have decided to do. 80 kilometers from Raipur, the Bambleshwari temple sits high on the hilltop, watching over her devotees and the city of Dongargarh. Taking the ropeway was a fabulous idea because, of course, you're escaping climbing 1,000 steps, but not just only that, you get the fabulous aerial view of the surrounding areas, and it's beautiful. Legend has it that over 2,000 years ago, Raja Veer Sen, the ruler of Dongargarh or the mountain fort, prayed to the gods for a child and was blessed. On the birth of the child, the king built the temple to pay obeisance to Lord Shiva and his consort Parvati. Not too many temples allow devotees to do the arti, which is the privilege of the priests, but this one does. The faith and devotion to the goddess is clearly seen in the red chunnis that have been tied in prayer and hope. "25 kilometers from Bilaspur, the Mahamaya temple at Ratanpur is considered to be a Shakti Peeth. It is said that after Shiva ended his Tandav, a part of Sati's body fell here, charging the spot with divine energy. 1,000 years ago, King Ratnadeva I built this temple in the Nagra style. It is said that he had a vision of the goddess Mahamaya holding court here, and this inspired him to shift his capital to the sacred land. The goddess is revered by devotees, and the temple is an important Hindu shrine. It's been an auspicious day. I can't help but think of all the adventures that still await me in Chhattisgarh, the land that never fails to surprise. The town of Dantewara lies 80 kilometers from Jagdalpur at the confluence of Shankini and Dhankini rivers. It gets its name from the Danteshwari temple. The temple was built in the 14th century during the rule of the Chalukyas. It has 3 mandaps and a garbhagriha that enshrines the intricately carved black stone of Sati, who is lovingly referred to as Maji. The goddess is worshipped with red blossoms and the bright flame of the diya. I'm on my way to Champaran to visit the Vallabhacharya temple. Now, I have decided to take the narrow gauge train, which is as old as the British period. It's used by the locals here to connect them from Dhamtari all the way to Raipur. This is going to be one interesting ride. There is nothing quite like the experience of being on a narrow gauge train that chugs along farmlands. And even stops at unscheduled road crossings. But this is damn interesting. You know, the Indian guy gets down himself and actually shuts the fatak so that his train can now cross. See him there? We are off again. Now, when they say narrow gauge, they really do mean narrow. After an up-close encounter with the historical site of the state, this is a great way to see the pastoral side of the state. Champaran, or forest of magnolia trees, is the large and vibrant temple dedicated to the social reformer Saint Vallabhacharya, the founder of the Vallabh sect. Every year his birthday is celebrated with great enthusiasm on the brightest day of Baisakh in the month of April. The legend of Sri Vallabhacharya's birth is a rather interesting one. It is said that in the 14th or 15th century, an honorable Brahmin named Yagya Narayan Bhatt lived in Andhra Pradesh. On completion of the Som Yagya, Lord Vishnu appeared to tell him that when Yagya Narayan's son would complete 100 Som Yagya, Lord Vishnu would take the form of Sri Vallabhacharya and protect the interests of all religions. Lakshman Bhatt, who married Illamaguru and Yellamaguru, the two daughters of the royal priest of Vidyanagar, performed the 100th Yagya. Due to the fear of a Mughal attack, Lakshman Bhatt left Varanasi with his wives. Illamaguru was at that time pregnant, and in a premature birth, she delivered a stillborn baby. Believing the child to be dead, the couple left him covered and under the protection of a tree. Soon after, in a dream, Lord Vishnu appeared before Lakshman Bhatt and asked him to return to the same spot. There he found a large Agni Kund and his child alive and healthy. Chhattisgarh is a land which bestows due importance upon other places of worship as well. Jain temples, monasteries, mosques and churches are revered with equal gusto. The religious tolerance I find rooted in Chhattisgarh's history, its land and the people amazes me. Chhattisgarh is dotted with places of religious importance, and the historical and architectural significance makes it of special interest to the visitor. The history and legacy of this land is astounding. Chhattisgarh continues to be a revelation, and it's so mesmerizing. Well, it's time for me to say goodbye to you. I'll see you next week.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Good Times.